Now, this is a topic I wanted to talk about for quite some time. Some of you guys know Sneako has been on this Muslim journey. And in a clip I saw recently, he spoke about how unclean and dirty pork is. Now, as someone who's related to people who consider pork to be unclean and has been subjected to the tyranny of Abrahamic dietary practices and laws and all that bullshit, I am here today to die over this topic. I swear to God, I'm 10 toes down, ready to crash out over pork. So let's get into it. Let's see what's going on with Sneako.
They eat their own poop. They roll around in the mud.
Eat their own pork. Yeah. Look. Go on Google the worst meat for you, and how it rots and has parasites.
Everybody agrees.
Even if you cook it. Even in San Diego, look it up. A guy got a worm, a parasite in his brain from eating a pork taco.
Yeah. So enjoy your pork. Yeah. Enjoy your pork. Enjoy your diseases.
And if you're a Christian,
I ain't gonna lie, you boys kind of funny. They're kind of funny with it. I ain't gonna lie.
Did Jesus eat pork? Jesus didn't eat pork.
Really?
Jesus did not eat pork.
That's a great factor that Jesus is Muslim.
All the Christians out there, why don't you follow Jesus and eat kosher and live that same lifestyle that Jesus lived?
You know they want to follow their desires,
yeah,
bro.
That's all that is.
They don't care about following Jesus.
We Muslims, we don't eat pork like Jesus didn't eat pork.
You always beef with the Christians.
No, I'm just saying, man.
The unfortunate thing is this. Pigs are not the only animals that have parasite problems. I'm going to show you guys a video of sheep being cleaned of parasites. Now, if I recall correctly, sheep are clean to eat according to kosher law. Let me just check again just to make sure. Are sheep kosher? Ooh, okay. So cows, sheep, goats, and deer are kosher. Now, one thing that's interesting about deer is because deer are wild animals, they're more primed to carry parasites and viruses and bacterial diseases, unlike domesticated breeds of animals that we consume in our everyday life. So obviously we know off top that just because an animal is of a certain species doesn't inherently make it cleaner. It's also how the animal is raised. Now, I'm going to show y'all this video of these sheep being dipped in water. I don't know what's going on, but they threw them in a tank of water to clean them of parasites.
Be expensive bit of gear, this, wouldn't it?
I don't know. I think when he built the other one, which was quite a while ago,
They're submerged in water.
yeah, he didn't build
Look
it.
at this.
Like build it for him. He copied this one.
Yeah.
I don't know how old the other one is. It's probably 6 or 8 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know what language they're speaking in. It seems like English with an accent.
A lot of fiddly
As you would have experienced with wool, again, out of the washing, it's extremely heavy. So that's why we need to cage the sheep in order to control them again in and out without a loss of life.
So clearly, pigs are not the only animals that run the risk of parasite consumption when you're consuming meat of certain animals. It's also funny that in the clip, Sneako is surprised that Jesus didn't eat pork. It's like, what did Sneako think Jesus ate? Bro, Jesus was Jewish. That's the fun, like, bruh. How does Sneako not know that the Muslims derive their dietary practices from Jews? That's why anti-Semitism amongst Jews and Christians always blows my mind. Because I'm sitting there and I'm like, y'all have all this hate in your heart for a race of people and a religion of people that you derive your entire faith from. How can y'all hate on them that hard? Like, I couldn't, like, how is it possible? I genuinely wonder what Sneako thought Jesus' diet was like. Jesus was Jewish. Jesus more than likely didn't eat pork because he was Jewish. He probably kept kosher. The idea that somehow or another Muslims are the originators of pork being unclean as a concept is crazy to me. Does Sneako not realize that Muslims and Christians derive their religious practices from their religious stories, all of that from Judaism? It's funny to me because Jews are the only community in the entire world that decided that pork was unclean. Europeans consumed it for tens of thousands of years just fine. Asians consumed it for tens of thousands of years just fine. It blows my mind that, like, somehow or another, people still actually believe certain animals are unclean. But the debate doesn't stop there. Because Neon's security guard named Leon, yeah, their names are kind of similar, and Sneako, get into a debate about the cleanliness of certain meats, and Sneako is genuinely convinced that chickens are somehow more clean than pigs. I don't know how, but somehow he is.
Chicken, but you eat that?
Chicken's not disgusting.
It's gross.
No, what's disgusting about chicken?
Chickens eat their own shit, bro.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
I eat my own shit.
You should probably go to a chicken ranch. They
Chickens
do.
don't eat their own food.
Yes, they do. Absolutely.
Well, pigs can't sweat, so all their toxins are built up in their body.
You're right. You're right.
And pork is made from the whole pig. You get
So my
blood,
question
the
is,
tail,
have you ever seen a pour on a chicken?
a pork?
A pour.
They sweat. Birds sweat.
A whore?
Have you ever seen
No, they don't. Okay, first and foremost, I don't know about all birds, but chickens do not sweat at all. This is a fact. And I'll pull it up too. Chickens cannot sweat to cool themselves off. Instead, they pant or breathe rapidly. They also hold their wings slightly out from their body, allowing air to flow through. When temperatures rise, this is not enough to keep them cool. Now, if you look at a chicken, what about these animals convinces you that they sweat? I'm asking you, the viewer, when you look at a chicken, what about their anatomy convinces you these things can sweat? Am I missing something? Because if I am, I'm open to being corrected. By all means. This is one of my issues with Sneako. Sneako is completely unwilling to actually delve into his beliefs. Ever. This is why every time he debated Destiny, he gets stumped over and over again. I actually believe that if Sneako actually went into his beliefs and researched them, he probably would be able to maybe catch Destiny a few times in a few debates. I don't know if he'd win them, but he'd at least come away looking somewhat informed. But for Sneako to not know that chickens eat feces, their own feces, blows my mind. The fact that Sneako thinks pigs can't sweat, therefore they're full of toxins, also blows my mind. It's already been proven that animals, oftentimes, if not mostly, get rid of their toxins through their internal organs. They don't need to sweat. Their internal organs, such as their liver, take care of the toxins for them. They don't need to sweat it out. And chickens can't sweat either. So how do you think they get rid of their toxins? Through the same method, through their internal organs. So it's always funny to me when I see religious people brazenly just judge other people's dietary practices, not realizing that it's usually not the meat itself, it's the preparation of the meat. When you eat chicken, it's not inherently unclean for you to consume, in spite of the fact that chickens eat their own shit. What's unclean, or, health risking in terms of the consumption of chicken, is how you prepare the chicken. If you're sitting there preparing fried chicken, surprise, surprise, it's going to have a much more risky effect on your health than eating a ribeye steak. You're eating fried chicken. It's going to be more unhealthy for you than grilled pork chops. Grilled pork chops are going to be more healthy for you, and pork is filled with plenty of vitamins and minerals. It's very nutritious. Pork is even more nutritious than chicken. Fried anything, chicken, pork, steak, it's the preparation of the food that's killing you, not the actual food itself. And people get sick from chicken all the time. Like, people get sick from chicken all the time. People sometimes get diseases from eating chicken. But like I mentioned earlier in the video, deer is considered kosher, and I would imagine deer might also be halal. Islamic dietary laws. Most herbivores or cud-chewing animals like cattle, deer, sheep, goats, and antelope are considered halal to consume. Now, statistically speaking, if you consume these little dirty ass, little nasty ass deer and antelope, okay, you're probably more likely to come across an animal full of diseases than if you just went to the store and bought you some pork ribs or some bacon or some pork chops. We're living in this like imaginary fantasy world where pork is killing like shitloads of people, and it isn't. Like, I'm sorry, like, we're living in this fantasy world where Europeans who consume shitloads of pork are somehow dying in droves because of pork consumption. Or that somehow or another, Japanese people who love pork are just dying by the boatloads because they're eating too much pork. Please. Like, for real. And I'm never giving up pork, and the reason why is because you need pork in order to make mampo stale. which is one of my favorite dishes. If you don't have pork, you can't make mampo stale effectively. It won't have the same taste. You need the bacon grease to give it that smoky like aroma and taste. If you don't have it, you can't make effective mampo stale. So I'm never giving it up. I will die about this. Deer and antelope are crazy unclean statistically. They're roaming in the wild eating anything, with anything getting on them and touching them. The reality is, an animal's cleanliness cannot be dictated by a book written 2000, not even 2000, because the Jewish religious texts on diet are even older than Jesus. So maybe 3000 or even older. These Jewish dietary laws, and I respect them for what they are. I'm not going to sit here and join Kanye and Sneako and Nick Fuentes and all of them in this anti-Semitic. I'm good on that. These Jewish dietary laws are not based in any scientific evidence at all. You know, if Sneako sat there and said, you know what? Spiritually speaking, these animals are unclean for me to consume. I won't consume them. I'd say, you know what? W's in the chat. Respect. You know what I'm saying? Like, I respect that. Like, on a spiritual level, God has told you this animal is unclean spiritually. But when religious people of the Abrahamic faith start trying to sit there and say that this animal's unclean and that animal's unclean, it's like, do y'all think animals take showers? Do y'all think animals sanitize their hands? Do y'all think animals have toilets? Do y'all think that, well, some of y'all's dogs be using the toilet. Do y'all think that animals actually live? It's like, when's the last time you've been to a farm? When's the last time you've been around animals? I grew up in the Virgin Islands. I got a Virgin Islands flag behind me. I lived for 6 years in St. Thomas. When I would wake up in the morning, y'all know those cartoons when the character wakes up and the rooster's like, cock-a-doodle-doo. When I would wake up in the morning every single day, I would hear a rooster cock-a-doodle-doo in the morning. I swear to God. When I would walk outside to play, sometimes there would be chickens running up and down. You know what they would be pecking at on the ground? Not food. They already ate food earlier. You know what they'd be pecking on the ground, eating? Shit. Their own shit. They're eating off the ground and yet you can't see any food. You want to know what it is that's blending in with the brown fucking dirt? Their shit. Now, there are some animals that are, you know, more associated with filth than others, like rats, for example, right? We wouldn't eat rats as a society, but if you domesticated them, I'm sure they'd be quote-unquote clean. The reality is our dietary preferences as a species are influenced by perceptions of cleanliness and uncleanliness, right? Even if a rat was bereft of any disease, bro, trying to find someone who's gonna eat it unless they're starving, like trying to find someone who's fully sated, probably had a nice meal that wants to eat this little rat, bro, come on. Like, it's not gonna happen. Dietary laws are subjective, okay? You can damn near eat anything. If you check it for diseases, you can damn near eat anything, okay? But this idea of divine law and science meeting together to declare pigs unclean is just cap. It's cap. I'm willing to die about this.
You ever seen a pore on a chicken?
I haven't seen a pour on me.
No. Yes, you can see them now.
I can't. Your eyesight's that good?
Bro, every hair follicle has a sweat pore in it.
Yo, they're beefing. This is fire.
That's my point.
I think I'm winning.
No, you're not.
Point being is this, right? None of these dietary laws made by these Abrahamic faiths are actually based in any semblance of reality. At all. Look, I respect people who aren't into this stuff. I respect people who won't eat pork. I respect people who won't eat shellfish, shrimp, all of that. But y'all gotta live in reality and realize animals are fucking gross. If you've ever hung around them, they fucking smell. All of them do. They all smell. There's no such thing as like, bro, these animals, most of them don't have any human conception of cleanliness. It doesn't exist. Trying to find it isn't real. And then trying to somehow make religious law and science about animal cleanliness mixed together and make sense is dumb. And the one thing that I have an issue with when it comes to Sneako and Islam is he tries to spread it in the weirdest of ways. You're never going to effectively spread Islam by saying, don't eat that. Islam says that's dirty. Bro, they've been eating it their whole life and nothing's ever happened. You're not going to convince them to follow Islam by telling them that BLT is going to kill them. Trying to convince folk that they're going to die because of that one BLT, that the 99th BLT you've ate this year, that's going to be the one that kills you. Let's be for real. So, you know, I think Sneako's gone about spreading Islam in the most just unattractive way possible. You're gonna burn in hell. You're an OnlyFans bitch. You're gonna go to hell because you do this, you eat this, you do that. It's like Sneako needs to find a much more fellowship-inducing and friendly way of spreading his faith. And also, Abrahamic faith-following people need to realize y'all are living in a dietary fantasy. Did y'all know that you cannot mix cheese and meat in kosher? You cannot mix cheese and meat. They don't eat cheeseburger. Like, Jews that take that shit seriously, they can't eat a cheeseburger. They cannot eat a cheeseburger. Now, how many of y'all have eaten cheeseburgers and nothing has ever happened to you? Now, I'm not trying to disrespect. I'm just saying, when we logically assess this shit, none of it is actually logical or rooted in any reality. So, you know, the one thing they were right about, though, is like Christians, the Muslims and the Jews take the dietary stuff seriously. I don't know one Christian that actually follows the dietary laws from Leviticus. I don't know one. So I'll give the Muslims that point. You know, they do follow those dietary laws very closely. They take it very seriously. But, you know, the idea that somehow or another people are contracting a boatload of diseases from pork is a folktale. Like when T.I. said, you know, my uncle came back from prison and he said, don't eat pork. And what he told me to do was take the pork, take the bacon, and put it in a cup of soda and leave it outside for a week and see what happens. And then after a week, it was covered in maggots and it was rotting and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, does T.I. not understand a piece of bacon is a part of a dead animal? It's prone to decomposition by default. It's dead. However, because it's packaged and sealed, and whatever other process shit has been done to it, it's not going to rot as fast, right? You took it out of its packaging, put it in a cup, filled it with a carbonated drink, and left it outside for other animals or bugs or insects to also, you know, interact with. You thought the meat was going to stay non-preserved? You thought the meat was going to stay preserved the entire time? If anything, if it would stay preserved the whole time, you shouldn't eat it. If the bacon can sit outside for 2 weeks and it's still the exact same, there's something in there that you don't want to eat. Some chemical in there. Some cancerous in there. So, you know, this whole pork thing is one of the most annoying, like, myth little folk tales. Because I had to deal with that for so long, not being able to eat a completely harmless animal because a religious text said so. And if you simply do research on every other animal, you'll realize they're all nasty. So it's like, you know. And then when people sit there and say, oh, pigs willingly eat their own shit. Pigs are one of the few animals that actually separate themselves from their own shit willingly. Chickens do not care about cleanliness in any capacity. So it is what it is. I just had to speak on this because I've always been bent out of shape over this topic. So it is what it is. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out.